Silence comes before words. You wake up and your chest already feels heavy. The world is too noisy on the outside and too quiet inside. Nobody sees that part. You look at everything, you notice everything, but almost no one notices you. There is a pain that doesn't scream. She just observes, and it gets tiring in silence. Perhaps you are standing still right now. Body here, mind far away, thinking about things I've never said, feeling things that could never be put into words. You notice details that others ignore, gazes, tones, absences, and that hurts more than it seems. Because seeing too much also hurts, especially when nobody is watching you, and you remain silent. There are nights when the world sleeps, but you stay awake on the inside, revisiting old scenes, phrases that will never be repeated, small gestures that left a deep mark. You can sense it before it happens, sense it before they explain, and yet he doubts himself. Because those who see beyond the surface are often discredited, even by himself. Have you noticed that you feel different? Not better, different. It's as if he were carrying an emotional radar, capable of detecting hidden pains, tensions in the air, uncomfortable silences. But nobody taught us what to do with it. Then you swallow, and it continues to function. There's a strange loneliness to it. To be surrounded and yet still distant. To be profound in a shallow world. Sensitive in a harsh environment. You adapt, smile when you need to, pretend to be lighthearted, but inside it accumulates layers, each one a little heavier, each one more invisible. If you're listening to this right now, it's no coincidence. Perhaps it's because you've always felt too much. He overthought it. He understood too much. And I never knew where to put all of it. Perhaps you have learned to be quiet, so as not to disturb, so it doesn't seem strange. But that had a cost. There's a name for that, but almost no one talks about it. It is the pain of those who see beyond, from someone who feels what was left unsaid, from those who read the atmosphere before the words, and you pay a price for it. You feel too much, but he learned how to hide it, because nobody taught them how to deal with it, just enduring it. Many people live like this, operating externally, disorganized on the inside, with a mind that never switches off, a heart that is always on alert. You notice mood swings quickly. It detects subtle tensions. You can sense when something is wrong, even without proof, and that's confusing. Have you ever wondered why you get so tired, even without making any physical effort? Why do small things affect you so deeply? Why do you think so much after a simple conversation? Why keep phrases that nobody remembers? Why do you feel guilty without knowing exactly why? It's not weakness. It's an excess of perception. It's sensitivity without a manual. It's about living alertly all the time. This dilemma is almost never discussed, because it doesn't seem like a clear problem. It's not constant sadness. It's not visible anxiety. It's something quieter. Constant emotional vigilance. You observe everything, but it is rarely observed. You welcome, but it is rarely welcomed. Those who experience this often hear stock phrases. You overthink. Relax a little. That's all in your head. And gradually, he learns to doubt himself. Even when you feel something real. Even when the body warns you. Even when intuition is correct. You fall silent. To fit. And that's how the wound is born. Not from the person who makes the mistake, but from the perspective of someone who feels it. Not from someone who exaggerates, but from someone who understands. You begin to hide your inner vision, so as not to seem too intense, so as not to disturb, to avoid being rejected, and that hurts deeply. This way of feeling doesn't come from nowhere. She starts early, when you learn to observe in order to protect yourself, reading the weather forecast before something goes wrong, noticing subtle changes to avoid pain. You grow up paying attention, because at some point it needed to be there, perhaps to please, perhaps so as not to bother anyone, perhaps to survive emotionally. As a child, you realized you needed to adapt, to sense the mood of others, anticipate reactions, understanding silences. You've learned to listen more than to speak, observe more than you ask, and that turned into a skill, but it also became a burden. because nobody taught you how to switch off, just enduring it. Over time, this attention becomes the norm. You enter environments already analyzing everything. Voice tom, expressions, absences. Your body goes on alert, even when nothing happens, because that's how he learned it. Being alert has become synonymous with safety. Relaxing has become a risk. You start putting too much pressure on yourself, over-explaining, taking responsibility for feelings that aren't your own. When something goes wrong, you take the blame, because he feels everything as if it were personal. You try to fix the weather, save conversations, avoid conflicts, even if it means getting hurt in the process, because she learned that this was love. This inner vision is powerful, but without limits, it hurts. You notice too much, and he forgets about himself, cares, understands, welcomes, but one doesn't allow oneself to feel with the same kindness. You become strong on the outside, sensitive on the inside, and weary in silence, without knowing exactly why. It's not that you're fragile. You just stayed on alert for too long. Your body learned to watch over you. His mind learned to anticipate. His heart had learned to hold on. And now all of this happens automatically, even when all you wanted to do was rest. Even when there is no danger. Same when you deserved peace. Imagine someone entering a room. She smiles. Greet everyone. Sit in silence. But inside it's a bit tight. She notices a sideways glance, a different kind of sigh, an awkward pause in the conversation, and the body reacts before reason, as if something were wrong. She tries to ignore it. She tells herself that it's an exaggeration, that everything is fine, but the mind doesn't let go. Review dinner. Go back to the details. Ask what you did wrong, even without having done anything. My chest feels heavy, and nobody notices. During the conversation, she listens more than she speaks. Watch your words. Choose silence. Laugh at the right time. Avoid bothering them. She feels the urge to say something, but swallow it, because he learned that feeling too much tires others. So she adapts, even if it cancels itself out. When he gets home, his body collapses. The mind remains awake. Dinner is repeated. The gaze, the tone, silence. She feels something she can't explain, a mixture of guilt and exhaustion, of sensitivity and loneliness, of lucidity and pain. She doesn't know that this has roots, that this way of feeling was learned. This constant warning is nothing new, which didn't start today. All she knows is that it hurts, and it hurts to be alone, because explaining it seems impossible, and asking for caution seems like an exaggeration. Then she continues on her way, always strong on the outside. That person could be you, or someone you know. She doesn't want attention, he wants inner peace. Want to switch off for a bit? You don't want to feel everything all the time. But he doesn't know how, because they never taught him. Just enduring it. Just keep going. What almost no one realizes is what goes on inside. While you observe everything, you forget to be observed. You sense the environment before you sense yourself. Read the other person before listening to yourself. And this becomes a silent habit. You adapt quickly, but it fades slowly, because nobody sees the inner effort, only external control. There is a kind of tiredness that doesn't come from the body. It comes from constant vigilance. Always be alert, always interpreting, always adapting. You think before you speak. Review it after speaking. And he blames himself, even when he hasn't done anything wrong. This wear and tear is not visible, but it consumes you from the inside. You are usually the emotional adult of the room. What do you understand? What matters? What yields? What keeps the climate going? But nobody asks how you are. Because you look good, it seems strong, it seems balanced, and that makes you even more alone. You hide your pain so it doesn't weigh you down. She downplays her feelings so as not to bother anyone. He learned to be easygoing for others, difficult for himself. When something hurts, you rationalize it. Explain. Explain. But don't feel it until the end, because feeling hurts too much. Then you push it in. Behind this sensitivity lies fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of being seen as exaggerating. You learned that to love was to adapt. To care meant to remain silent. That understanding was his job. But nobody taught you how to be cared for. So you turned around on your own, like always. The truth is harsh. Those who see beyond the surface often give up on themselves first. Not by choice, but for emotional survival. You adapt so well. Who forgets where one ends and the other begins? And where do you begin? This is the invisible pain, something almost no one sees, but it hurts every day. Over time, this starts to take its toll. Relationships become confusing. You give too much of yourself, and he receives too little, because you taught others not to see you. Your self-esteem fluctuates. It depends on the weather, from the perspective of another, from silent approval. And that's tiring. You begin to doubt what you feel. He wonders if he's exaggerating, if you're being too sensitive, and it begins to shrink. Swallow your desires, postpone decisions, avoid confrontations, even when something hurts you, because he learned that peace is the absence of conflict, even if it costs you. This pattern affects important choices. You accept less than you deserve. Stay where it hurts. He insists where there is no room, because leaving feels like abandonment. And you learned not to abandon anyone. He didn't even realize he had abandoned it. The future keeps getting postponed. Life is being lived in a mode of restraint, always on alert. The body begins to speak, unexplained fatigue, weight on the chest, difficulty relaxing. The mind never rests, because he never learned how to switch off. Everything seems urgent. It all seems to be your responsibility, even when it isn't. And that drains. You become functional, but not entirely. Completes tasks. Maintain relationships, smile when you need to. But he feels a strange emptiness, as if something were missing and that's it. And you. That was postponed for far too long. None of this happens all at once. It's slow, silent, almost imperceptible, but profound. Before you know it, you're exhausted, without knowing why. Because it wasn't a major trauma. It was the sum of small sacrifices, made in silence. There is a point at which consciousness begins to awaken, and he doesn't come with euphoria, come with relief. You start to realize that you're not broken. He's hurt. That this way of feeling is not a flaw. It's an old adaptation, created to protect you, when you still had no choice, when I needed to survive emotionally. The turning point begins when you stop blaming yourself, when you understand that feeling too much isn't the problem. The problem was that I learned to feel alone, holding everything together. Don't ask. Keep going. You are not weak for getting tired. It's human nature, and the body is asking for rest. No explanations. Changing this pattern doesn't mean becoming a different person. It's about returning to yourself. It's about learning to listen to yourself before listening to the world, to feel without judging oneself, setting boundaries without guilt. You start small, noticing when something is weighing you down, naming what you feel, even if in silence, even if it's just for you. Awareness brings choices. You start to notice when you're losing yourself, when you're giving in too much, when you're explaining yourself unnecessarily, and for the first time, you stop, breathe, and choose differently, not to please, but to preserve itself. That's emotional maturity. You understand that not all weather is your responsibility. Not all pain needs to be absorbed. Understanding doesn't mean you have to carry it. You can see beyond, and still take care of yourself. Sensitivity doesn't have to become a sacrifice, it can become wisdom. When it comes with a limit, and being present with oneself. This change is quiet. It happens on the inside. When you treat yourself with the same kindness you've always offered. When you stop abandoning yourself. When you accept that you also deserve care. Not as a prize, but as a right. Because you always felt too much. And now he's learning to feel for you. Perhaps no one has ever told you this like this before. But seeing beyond the surface isn't a burden. It's a rare ability. The problem was never seeing too much. It was a shame to have done it alone. In silence, no lap, without pause, no permission to rest. That leaves a mark. You don't need to become any tougher, no less sensitive. You don't need to lose your depth. You just need to stop hurting yourself to fit in. Stop being silent in order to maintain peace. Stop having to explain yourself in order to be accepted. Those who see beyond the surface were not born to fade away. He was born to understand, including yourself. And that changes everything. True strength lies not in enduring. It's about recognizing limits. It's about knowing when to stop, when to say no from the inside, when you choose without guilt. You don't need to prove anything, nor should we carry the world on our shoulders. Feeling something doesn't obligate you to save anyone, primarily at their own expense. This is not love. When you start to see yourself, something is being organized. The mind slows down. The body breathes. The choices become clearer. You remain sensitive, but no longer vulnerable to everything. You realize, but it doesn't absorb. You see beyond, without getting lost. Perhaps that's the question that remains. Who takes care of those who have always taken care of others? Who listens to those who have always listened? Who welcomes those who have always understood? The answer begins now, when you allow yourself to be human, not perfect, not strong all the time, just the whole thing, and present with you. If this video helped you, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, turn on notifications, and know that you are not alone.